Welcome back, blade lovers. This old sword is with you once again, and I have round two of my favorite TwoSun knives. Already did round one, and we had 6 in that one. I pared it back to 5 for this one, so we can spend a little bit more time and attention on them. And one thing I'll mention is that quality materials, quality manufacture, and an amazing value for all of these knives for what you get. By the way, there's individual reviews on each on the channel, so if you don't see enough of it here and want to know a little bit more about each or any one of these, feel free to visit the reviews for them. We're going to start off with one of my all-time favorites, recently picked up in a higher-end material, originally bought in D2 back a couple years ago. It's one of my first real favorites is the TS81, a Wong design with a beautiful, call it a drop point, spear point, high grind blade. Can I say all of that to describe a blade? Well, sure. And it is by TS229 Wong. Hope I'm pronouncing his first name correctly. I always question that. Look at that grind, flat grind all the way up almost to the top with a nice wedge and plenty of spine thickness. This knife is characterized by some of the most fantastic milling work on any TwoSun knife, certainly almost on any knife. Actually kind of reminiscent on the back here of Reich's recent production of the SOCOM Bravo for Microtech. If you look at the spine of this and compare it to photos and videos, you see that. And we have that same kind of ripple effect going through the carbon fiber on this one. My original one was bone, a yellowish, whitish yellow insert. And that one has the D2 blade. This, excuse me, this one is an M390, which I jumped right on when I saw it was available at White Mountain. And if you visit White Mountain periodically and check, look up under TwoSun, you'll see that stuff comes and goes all the time. Look at that little flourish right there. Action is great. Still breaking this one in because it's newer. Has the feather-like clip, which I think is a design note you will see on some custom knives, obviously by another designer. I'm not sure that Mr. Wong makes custom knives. I think he's just a designer, but I could be wrong. Got the nice little ceramic ball in there, making it easy in and out of the pocket, for especially for a titanium clip, and it's relatively deep carry. TS81 Wong design. Hardened steel insert, frame lock construction, and half length backspacer on that one. Just about the right amount of flipper tab as well. Okay, put that one aside, and we're going to move on to, let's see what we shall move on to. How about the Jelly Jerry TS229? An amazing knife. It is a front flipper. It's very complex, I would say, in design. Beautiful carbon fiber, equal on both sides, which I love to see. Pretty good front flipper ramp and pretty smooth. Look at that drop point, clip point, tanto, whatever the heck you want to call it. It gets to be wider at the front than it is at the back. And high grind, razor sharp. Got the TwoSun logo inset into the fuller. Plenty of jimping. Not overly aggressive, but it's useful. And this is actually a more useful knife than you would think. The ergos are great. You can put your index finger there, second and third fingers there, and the pinky there. And you get a very good grip. I would call this more of a sharpening choil than a finger choil. You might be able to get the side of your finger in there, but there's always the danger of sticking yourself on the heel of that blade. So I'm going to call it a sharpening choil. So it's interesting in that the blade gets wider near the tip and the handle gets wider near the pommel. And yet, as odd as that looks, this just melts right into the hand. You've got great contouring there. The steel on this is also M390, which you can see right there. A little bit of oil. And there you can see Jelly Jerry's name. And, bang the camera a little, and his logo. Kind of nicely inset, and this is not overly billboarded. Got that 3-line typical TwoSun pivot. Got a smooth pivot on the other side. Not too many screws and a very nice carbon fiber. Half-length backspacer with kind of a gear sort of milling pattern on it. And very smooth and drop shut. Opens like a charm too. This was one of the first front flippers that I felt pretty comfortable with. The Jelly Jerry TS229. Beautiful knife. Look at that clip too. Okay, so moving on to the, let me make sure I get the number right on this one. This is the TS336, also by Wong Designs, newer model. Reviewed this recently over the past month or so. Look at that Persian recurve Tanto blade. Just amazing. This one is from Sandvik, 14C28N. And they are now putting the model numbers on the blade, which I love, because without a name and just a number, those numbers are hard to remember. Even TwoSun collectors, and I consider myself one, but there are guys that really collect only TwoSun, and they know every number and every maker and every detail about it. I can't say that I am that well versed with TwoSuns. Got a bunch of them, but there are always people with more and less knowledge than yourself. That's a good thing. So thumb stud and flipper tab, stonewashed titanium, interesting burlap micarta. A lot of people don't like the brown. I think it provides an interesting contrast here to the rest of the knife. Very scalloped out. Well, a miracle of editing, we're back. I had to take a phone call right in the middle. Important doctor stuff. So anyway, we were discussing the TS336, which is a newer Wong model, Wong design model for TwoSun. And I think I was talking about the handle, and there's your lanyard hole with this interesting scalloped pattern on the bridge of that, which is really forms the backspacer. We have a hollow grind here, and we have what appears to be either a flat grind or a saber grind out near the point. And there is plenty of point left there as far as the blade thickness goes. I'm going to put links to all of these down in the notes. However, no guarantee that these are going to be readily available at White Mountain. However, as I said, always monitor and put your email address in for notifications when they're back in stock, because the stock does regularly rotate. That's a good thing. I noticed that we have a little landing zone here, similar to what Todd Knife and Tool does on some of their Best Tech and Wee knives. So it's kind of a tactile place for your finger to land at the end of the flipping stroke. Just crazy grind on this one. Excuse me. Nice thick titanium. It is, however, light, and that titanium is not milled out. Nope. Not milled out, but titanium, by virtue of the material, is lighter than steel. So the overall feel is really not heavy at all in this. Got some good grip on that jimping. The way the finger grooves are set up, you got plenty of room, pretty much no matter how thick your fingers are. Fits the hand well. I mean, all of these knives, some of them may look a little bit odd and non-traditional, but they all feel great in the hand. They're all nicely contoured. And it doesn't matter if you want to fire it with the thumb stud or the flipper, equally as efficient. So that is the TS336 Wong design. We're going to move on. Since we already did a Jelly Jerry, let's do a Mazwan Mokhtar design. And this is the Karambit claw. It is the TS242. One of my absolute favorites. And you'll see why in a moment. Look at the massive thickness of titanium, and yet this is light. And I believe inside this circle, I have not had this, actually I did have this apart a while ago. I believe that's hollow and not solid inside that ring for the Karambit. It fits great in the hand if you want to hold it this way and forget the ring. Just as a claw, it's a very wide claw. It is of premium materials. It's M390, and you can see that right there, but you will not see a maker's mark on this. And it could be hiding on the inside, as they do from time to time. We can call it a bolster lock, sort of, or a hidden frame lock, because that lock for the frame is kind of tucked under the handle. You can open it with a flipper. You got to give it a lot of energy. It's not really a complete action, but you know, it is doable. Notice the strange thing with this is there is no clip. There is no pocket clip. Now, I questioned Mazwan on that quite a while ago, and he said where he comes from, and I believe he's from Indonesia. He can correct me if I'm wrong. The local martial arts guys keep their karambits, their folding karambits, and their karambits tucked in the waist belt, or a sash if they're a practitioner, or under the belt, and don't feel that they need any way of clipping it to the clothing. So certainly a personal choice. You may feel uncomfortable carrying this without a clip, but you might be able to brush this, see, against the clothing on the way out, pulling it with the ring. I'm not sure. I haven't played with it enough to really feel whether that is a viable way of opening or not. I do know that you can flip it open pretty easily with that opening hole, and there's a nice shoulder there, so it allows for that. But look at the work that's been done on this. Got jimping there, got jimping on the blade a little bit. It's actually pretty grippy, but you got a full swale there for the thumb. You can hold this knife very securely in the point up position. And of course, it is a karambit, so you can put your fingers through the ring and hold it this way, and you have lots of handle and lots of blade. I'm not sure I like it that way for actual point down use, but yeah, it's going to work. It's going to rip. And not too much of a forward facing point, but enough. It's kind of a banana shape overall. And an enclosed back just gives it that nice finished look. And inside the ring, you can see where the mating halves come together. Lock bar and very smooth. It's not going to be a complete drop shut action just because of the shortness of that blade, but give it a little energy and it goes right in. So that is the TS242 Karambit Claw by Mazwan Mokhtar. Check his designs out. He's really has been turning out some nice stuff for TwoSun. Finally, we have the Jelly Jerry designed again, 223. I can always remember that number because it's the same as the rifle caliber, 223 Remington. This is a classic design drop point. Beautiful even belly, completely to the top, flat grind, thick stock. Beautiful millwork on the bolster. And very nice millwork on the clip. This had come out in 14C, I think, when it first came out. This one also is M390. There's Jelly Jerry's name and his logo. And that is what I'd call a bolster lock, because there's your bolster, there's your lock, and the rest of it kind of hides underneath the handle slab. Extremely smooth action on this guy. Again, a classic design with a little bit of a variance on it there with the way the pommel comes to a kind of a point. But great in the hand. It's a great cutter, a great slicer, just wicked sharp in that M390. I think they're turning out their M390 like 60, 61 Rockwell, I believe. I know that Love Them Knives did some tests on the TwoSun M390 back a while ago, and I'm sure he's still got those videos up there. So for a while there, he had access to testing and composition on the steels, and found a lot of companies out that didn't really have the steel they were claiming to, but TwoSun seemed to always be on the mark, so I do trust that. Here's a Karambit claw. There's the TS81. Karambit claw sword needs a little more room. It's wide by virtue of it being bowed like that. Here is the TS336. And finally, the 229 by Jelly Jerry. Nice little batch of TwoSun knives there. Hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. We'll be back soon.